Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Book 91. We are talking with AP from Ready to Love. Yes, I have the honor to host and have a one-to-one sit-down conversation as well. How you doing, AP? You all right?
Hey, I'm great. I am fantastic.
That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. I guess before I go any further, AP, does it stand for anything? Because I just realized I keep calling it AP. I feel bad when I say AP. I don't know.
No, AP is great. It does stand for
Okay.
something, but it's my good government name. That's what I tell people. And I just like to go by AP. It's just easier. It's easier for me and for other
No
people
worries.
because they will butcher. Trust me. That's why I go by AP because
Mm. Is it that difficult? Maybe I'm African. I don't know. Is it that difficult?
well, it's not, but it's just the pronunciation that I get a lot of different types of
Oh.
pronunciations. And yeah,
It
just
saves the trouble. Okay, fair
AP
enough.
is good. I'm good with AP.
Is it from a certain country or a certain culture, the name maybe where it's come from? We don't have to tell what it is, but maybe where the
Um,
origin?
no, no, I just
No?
pronounce it different. I pronounce it different than yeah.
Okay, fair
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
I represent that. Okay, no worries at all. So we like to get to know our guests a little bit better. We want to be able to make sure that you're obviously human. Maybe you're not a robot. You could be you could be a hologram. You could be anything like that. So we want to make sure that you're not those things. So we've got to ask some human verification questions to make sure you are a human being. So
Okay.
I've got a few questions for you. Is that okay?
Shoot. I'm ready.
Beautiful. Diggity-diggity-doo.
Dun, 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 dun.
Question number one.
Uh-oh.
Very simple. Question number one. You have an open plane ticket going to anywhere in the world. I want to
Mm,
know where you would go and why.
that's good. I would actually probably go, and this is pretty basic, honestly, but I would go to Hawaii.
Okay.
I know it's pretty basic, but
No.
I love the layout, the land. It's just a breath of fresh air, literally. So I would definitely do Hawaii. Yeah. And I
Mm.
have a few friends that are Hawaiian and they speak very highly of Hawaii. So I would love to do that.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
I like it. I'll run with it. I'll run with it. Oh, people are holding at me. Okay. Second question. Human verification. Second question. Um, if there was one song that would encapsulate your life, I'm gonna need people to stop messaging me. What song would it be? If there was one song that you knew that said, "This is the soundtrack to my life," what would it be?
So there's a song by Mary Mary. I'm a woman of faith, so I can't, negate that. Like I don't shy away from that at all.
Come on
And
now.
there's a song that they have called "Can't Give Up Now."
Okay.
Now, me. I would sing it, you know what I'm saying, but I didn't. I didn't warm up.
I mean,
You
you feel
know
free
what
to sing us
I'm saying?
a verse or two.
But yeah, that's a pretty. I think that song is indicative of, or my life is indicative of that song. It just kind of
Mm,
speaks of perseverance through trial and tribulation, and not giving up even in the midst of some very difficult moments. So yeah,
okay.
story of my
Well,
life.
I like that. We like a testimony around here. So listen, sis, we'll dive into that. Don't worry, we'll dive into that
Okay.
as well. I'm a man of faith, so as well. So as a Christian, so I like to hear those testimonies as well. All right.
Yeah.
Our third question on human verification. It's very simple. Milk or cereal in the bowl first? Milk or cereal in the bowl first?
Oh, cereal,
Mm,
cereal, and then yeah, all my life cereal, and then pour the milk. I've never
okay.
seen anybody put milk in the bowl first.
Because y'all don't see the creativity of what that's happening right there. You don't
Ah,
see what's happening right there. Some
okay.
of you
Does it
guys
soak
are
up
serial
better?
killers.
What
Yeah,
is
yeah.
what's
Why are
what's
you drowning your cereal? Why are you drowning your cereal like that? Why are your cereal in the bowl and you just drowning it with milk? Some of you don't.
that's a
I
good
want
point.
my cereal to float.
Mm.
Yeah.
See, well, I don't want to say I like soggy cereal, but I don't like crunchy cereal. Like I
What?
want
You don't like crunchy?
no, I want my cereal to be a little drowned in the milk. I do.
What?
Yeah.
You don't like hearing that that noise.
I mean, it depends on the cereal too, though. Like Captain Crunch, I don't like
Okay.
soggy Captain Crunch, but I
Okay, cool.
like soggier Cheerios. You know what I'm saying? So it just
Okay, no, okay.
it's
I
not
can
never
lie on that.
cereal, okay?
I can kind of get you on the soggy Cheerios. Cheerios just kind of work with the sogginess. I can work
Right.
with that a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can work. Okay, I'm
Kind of like
gonna give you.
oatmeal. You know what I mean?
Okay, fair enough. I will give you that. I'll give you that. I'm gonna rock with you on that one. Okay,
Okay.
I'm gonna rock with you on that one. Okay. Oh, you've passed our human verification. We believe you're a human being. You've given us some great answers, so we've ticked that box. You are not a robot. So, AP, we want to. I want to ask this very open-ended question.
Yeah.
Who is AP, and what is AP's story?
Yeah. Wow. That's a loaded question. Yeah, Joe, that's a loaded question.
Now fire away.
Well, I'm a mom. I like to lead with that first because, I'm a mom of two amazing, amazing children. I was about to call them scholars because that's what I'm so used to calling them at their school, right? But two amazing children, 8 and 9 years old. They're 16 months apart. Y'all pray for me. It's like having twins, okay? But yeah, I'm a mom. I'm a holistic life coach. I love helping women, and I love helping women to really turn their pain into power and purpose and transform their lives, right? I believe that we can heal and thrive together holistically, and that's what I do. I'm an educator as well. So I used to be a adjunct professor. I was a biology professor. So I had that hat as well for a few years. And once my late husband passed, I just took a sabbatical from education to really focus more on entrepreneurship. So, yeah. In a nutshell. I mean, I could go on and on and on.
We don't mind if you go on and on. You know what I'm saying? We don't mind. We like to hear those answers. You said obviously about pain to passion. Tell us a little bit more about what does that actually mean for you, and how did you come about that particular phrase, if you want to call it, and you heading in that direction?
Yeah. So turning our pain into purpose, right? All of us are going to go through things, right? And I like to say that life is a journey, right? You have some high moments, you have some low moments, and you have everything else in between. And it's really how you navigate through that journey to never give up, right? And it sounds cliche, but when you think about it, we're not meant to stay stuck in one place, right? So I help people to, especially women in particular. That's my market, right? But I help women to just kind of get out of that place if they're stuck and to be their best selves. So giving them tools and resources and helping them through, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. I'm not God, of course, and I don't, take that title of being somebody that's superior at all. My thing is we are all in this journey together. And I've been through some things in my life that I have needed help. Right. And so I know what that looks like to reach back and help somebody else come through the muck and the mire, if you will, if I can use that term freely. And so that's what I do. And I've been doing it for 15 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So that's quite a long time you've been doing that for. You're expert?
I mean, yeah. And that's not to be, I'm not an arrogant.
No, that makes sense.
I'm godly, I walk in my godly confidence, and we all have gifts, right? And we all have things that God has charged us to do on the earth. And so when you know who you are, you know who you are. And so you walk in that godly confidence without reservation. So yeah.
And when you say you've been through things, I mean, you don't have to tell us everything if you don't want to, if you don't feel comfortable. But I mean, when you say you've been through things, what is that? What did you mean by that? I mean, maybe you can expand on that for us to get a bit more insight.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm in the process of writing a book. So, I mean, y'all gonna have to read the book to get all of the details and the intricacies of my life. But in a nutshell, especially with grief and loss. So I've lost a child, a sibling to suicide, of course, a husband, and both of my parents. And that all happened within a 7-year time span. So you can only imagine trying to live life, right, and still try to be your best self and help other people. They're, what they're going through, but you're also going through your own, trials and tribulations. So, yeah. So just grief and loss, and also just growing up. My backstory is very interesting. I grew up in Washington, D.C., Southeast D.C.
Come on.
I don't know if y'all know about Southeast D.C., but
I don't. But it sounds. Is it rough? Is it rough?
It's very rough. It's very rough. Yeah, I was one of the 3% to make it out of high school and to go on to college. It was a lot of teenage pregnancy and a lot of, let me just say, I had some friends that actually got shot and stabbed before we graduated. and died. You know what I'm saying? So
Oh man.
for me to make it out and go to school, and then, you know, further on education with a graduate degree, and now I'm doing my doctorate is pretty major. So I'm extremely grateful, because it could have been
Wow.
different. It could have been different.
When you say it could have been different, how so? How do you feel like it could be different?
Just life. I think just choice, right? Life
Mm.
is a choice. You can choose there, you know, you can choose to go left when you know you're supposed to be going right, right? But I chose to try my best to stay as straight and narrow as possible, because I knew that I wanted better for myself.
Mm.
And that's what I try to do. And I try to be an example to other young girls as well. I have a mentoring program, a nonprofit mentoring program that really supports girls in really understanding their self-worth and their value. And we also, you know, really focus on life skills and fitness and nutrition. I was overweight when I was in middle school, and
Okay.
very low self-esteem, very low self-esteem.
Mm.
So I want to give girls what I did not have. My biological mother and I had an estranged relationship, and you know, I try my best to be an example, you know, to young girls, and again, be what they need that I knew I didn't have.
Mm. And you said that was, I mean, that's a powerful kind of conclusion you brought there as well. Talking about, you know, your relationship with your mother as well.
Yeah.
I mean, what was the kind of impact on you then, that relationship with your mother? What was the impact on you then?
Yeah, well, she was an alcoholic. So this is my biological mother, not the. This is what I'm saying. My story is very complex. My
Mm.
journey is. So I was raised by my aunt, my
Okay.
and my father and my grandmother and my dad's side of the family, and I never really knew my biological mother's side of the family. So unfortunately, she just made some bad choices, you know, some bad
Mm.
lifestyle choices, and she passed away when she was 47.
Sorry to hear
So,
that.
yeah, so I was 19 and she was 47, and it was, for me, it was what not to do in life, if you will.
Mm.
You know, so I look at her life, and to me, I honor her life by making sure that my life is the opposite, if that makes sense.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But you know, she tried her best, and you know, sometimes people just, you don't know what you don't know,
Yeah.
right? And that's why I said life is a journey, and life is all about choices. And sometimes we make the wrong choices, you know, and we are
Mm.
a sum total of our life experiences, good, bad, ugly, and or indifferent. So you got to be careful with some of the choices that you make, because ultimately, you know, it really does become, in a sense, your totality of who you are.
Yeah. And so for you then as well, I mean, navigating that piece then, you know, in terms of, you know, having a relationship with your mother,
Mhm.
you know, I think you lost your mom at 19. Again, my condolences as well. You know, how does that impact one then in you know, in your growth in terms of, you know, just even relating to other people? Like I said, you've been through quite a lot already,
Mhm.
but you know, just in terms of relationship with mother, how did that impact you growing up? How did that impact you in terms of you interacting with other people, etc.?
Yeah. Well, I think I was grateful enough to have, like I said, my aunt,
Mm.
my dad's sister, who kind of stepped in as that mom figure, you know. And I've always been relational, so I've always wanted that relationship, you know, with my biological mother. But it's just, you know, over time you realize that when it's not going to happen,
Yeah.
you just kind of move on, you know, with
Yeah,
life.
I get you.
And you know, even after she passed, there was some forgiveness that I had to do, you know, through counseling and through therapy, to really forgive her for some things that she had done, you know, with me growing up. So, because I was actually abandoned as a child, as a baby.
Oh,
Yeah. See, this is what I'm saying. Like, it's a lot to my life over here, Coach Joe.
oh, babe, listen, we're ready for this.
Yeah, yeah. So, so I was raised by my dad and my grandmother up until the age of 5, and then I was
Mm.
getting back to my biological mother. But there was some abuse that happened, and you know, it's all in my book. So y'all gotta, you know, these are just little tidbits that,
Mm.
but it's all in the book. Yeah.
My God. Okay.
Mhm.
So, I mean, whew, okay. Ooh, Chile. Okay.
I mean, you had asked me, you know what I'm
I know.
saying?
You know what? It's not even that it's heavy. It's just that there's so many components, so many different. I have like 1,000 questions in my head now, kind of
Mhm,
racing.
mhm,
I'm usually a bit more structured, but it's like there's just so much questions I have coming towards me. Okay,
mhm.
so let me bring it structured wise then, so we
Sure.
can get more understanding, because you're definitely interesting. You've gone through quite a bit, and I think we can
Yeah.
all learn from your experiences. talk to us about your childhood. What was childhood like for you? What was growing up? Was it Southeast, as you said, DC? How was that like growing up? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it was tough. It was definitely tough. I'm not even going to lie to you, and I'm not going to really filter it. I'm not a cusser, so that's not what I mean. But when I say filter it, I'm just saying like it was tough. So my biological mother was unfortunately on we used to call it the system. So I don't know if you know about food stamps.
Yeah.
The book of food stamps back in the day, we didn't have no card. It wasn't a card. It was a book of food stamps. And so, had to go through that with the food stamps and the welfare checks and all of that. And, the government cheese, the big block of government cheese, you know what I'm saying? And the big can of peanut butter and, all of that, the spam and all of that. So just kind of growing up in poverty, to be honest with you. And, for my kids now, I'm like, I refuse to allow them to be in that space, So like I said, I just learned from my experiences with growing up and tried to be the best person that I can be, for my kids and for my family. So, yeah.
What were the kind of challenges that you faced, growing up then in such an area? What was the kind of challenges you were facing?
So I was an introvert, to be honest. If people say now, like, hey, you was an introvert. I was an introvert. I was a complete introvert because I was actually child abused. So with the abuse, you begin to swell within yourself.
Yeah.
Floating. I never really expressed. And so I started doing poetry, I think when I was 12, and I do spoken word now, you know what I'm saying? I spit later, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, it was challenging. It was, I think my outlet was sports. And so I started playing basketball at 14 and running track. And that was my outlet. That was the outlet for me. Yeah, along with, of course, doing poetry.
Okay. What disciplines did you run on track?
Oh, I tried hurdles. My last meet, my first and last meet. Okay. What happened was I got over 8 hurdles. The last 2, I looked at them and I walked around. But no, I had tendonitis in my left knee. And after the 8th hurdle, it was like flaring up, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Not the knee. Not the knee.
My knee.
I could have been a track star, but my knee.
I know, right? So I did tried hurdles.
Okay.
Not my thing, but I was actually a 800 meter runner.
Okay.
Yeah, I did pretty
good. You had some lungs about you.
I did all right. Yeah, I did that, and I did cross country.
You definitely had some lungs.
That wasn't a good look. No, that wasn't a good look. I got looped one time, and I said, "No, I'm good." Coach, I'm good, Coach.
Looped one time. I hear you on a 400. Yeah, you gonna need to quit that if you get looped on a 400. I hear you.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
I got looped one time, and I was done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So so you have obviously outlets, like you said, you have spoken word. What would you say inspires some of the pieces that you might do on spoken word? And what would you say inspires you on a spoken word?
Good question. I think just the backdrop of my life. It's but also I'm able to kind of look at somebody else's life and envision what, if this makes sense. I'm able to look at a relationship that someone else is going through and write a piece about that. Yeah. So a lot of the pieces that I write, they're not necessarily about my life in particular. A few of them are, but a few of them are just me looking at someone else's life and able to write kind of what I feel they're going through, if that makes sense. Kind of from an empathetic type of position.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Do you have any siblings? I didn't even ask.
Oh, I do. Okay. I have 2 older. Well, that's another story.
Oh, we got time today. That's
another story.
Oh, we want to know the story, baby.
I do have siblings. But I was my father's only child.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but I do have siblings. Yeah.
How many siblings do you have? And are they brothers, sisters?
So I have a sister. So let me give you what I found out recently. No, let me give you what I know and then what I found out recently. This is what I'm saying. That's why I write this book, because it's a lot going on. So I had a brother that unfortunately committed suicide. And then I have they were, thank you. He was an older brother of mine. I have an eldest brother who's 10 years older than I am. And then I have a younger sister. But I recently found out that I have a set of twins who were given up for adoption at birth. So yeah, but they're older. One actually, I can't give you everything, Kojo, because this is my book.
Okay. I understand.
But one was actually murdered. It was a twin boy and a girl, and my brother was murdered, and my sister and I are trying to reconnect. So that's where we are now. Yeah, you asked. I'm an open book, but I don't want to give you too much because it's in my book, and I want you to read my book. Okay.
I totally get you.
Yeah.
So like,
I know. Mm-hmm. It's a lot.
Sounding very Jobish right now.
Listen.
What's your thoughts? Yeah, go on.
Yeah. That's something that, like, literally, I said to God, like, okay, Lord, this, like, you can't make this stuff up, right? And I know that I'm smiling, and this is my personality, but you got to understand that I've gone through years of where there were no smiles, right? So this is me now. This is me presenting, myself to you all in a very healthy, happy, joyful manner. But this was not always the AP. I've done. So when I was on the show and I was like, I've done the work. I know people probably was like, why AP keeps saying she's done the work? Because I have. You know what I'm saying? Because I know what I've gone through, right, to get even to that point of the show. And I'm sure we'll talk about the show a little later. But yeah.
Since you said about the work, which is important as well. I mean, for you, without obviously having gone to detail, I'm sure you spoke about in your book.
Yeah.
What did the work entail? Because a lot of people say the work, right? Yeah. And I definitely believe you've done the work because I can see it as we're talking, just by the way you've been responding to the questions. But when you say you did the work, what did you mean you did the work? Just so that other people can understand. What did that involve for you?
Sure, but yeah, because you can sometimes the term can be thrown around, so loosely, and it's like, what does that mean? For me, what it meant and what it means is that I've done therapy. Like, I believe in Jesus, hallelujah. Okay, but I also believe in therapy. I also believe in sitting down with a licensed professional, talking out and getting to the root of what is going on in your life. Because here's the reality: if you don't get to the root of it, you're going to keep. You're going to grow, right? But it's going to almost be like weeds in a garden, right? So there's not going to be any validity to what you're actually doing in life because you have not yet gotten to the root of it. So it's real surface, right? So when people meet you, they're meeting the surface you. They're not meeting the deep rooted you. And so you're getting this representative because that's all you know. But when you get, hear me, I'm not trying to preach. I promise.
No. You talking? Go on. This is good.
When you get to the root, right, of who you are and what you've gone through, the mask comes off. You don't have to do a representative. You don't have to try to be somebody you're not. You're showing who you are because you've gotten to the root of the issues and the problems that you face and you've gone through. Life, this journey, ups, downs, middles, highs, lows, mountaintops, valleys. You know what I'm saying? All of it. So when I say I've done the work, I've gotten to the root. First of all, I wouldn't even be able to have this conversation with you, Kojo. Let's be honest, right? If I had not done that work, if I have not gone to therapy, if I had not done self-care regimens and taken care of myself as woman, right? If I did not pray and fast and meditate and just do what I needed to do, years of it. This is not like she gonna do it for 1 year and she good. No, because I had so much deep-rooted issues, I had to go through years of talking things out and being real with myself and how I'm feeling and communication and those things. And a lot of that honestly came before I got married.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I was married for 10 years. Well, 9.5 before my late husband passed. Yeah, but a lot of that work also came before I got married so that I would be ready
To be married.
Come on, ready for marriage.
Mm.
But that I would be ready, to be in a lasting, fulfilling, healthy relationship.
Man. How did you navigate then? Because obviously doing therapy
Mm-hmm.
when things are now coming up.
Yeah.
Because obviously you took yourself there. You wanted to go and obviously you wanted to
Mm-hmm.
bring change.
Absolutely.
But when it started coming up and it starts bubbling and they start removing stuff,
It's ugly.
how were you handling that aspect of things? How were you coping? What was you doing in those moments? That's what I want to
So
know.
it's ugly. It's your ugly snotty cry. It ain't cute at all. It's your swollen eye after you finish your throat hoarse.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? It's your snot. It's the ugly cry. It's from the depth of your soul, right?
mm.
And I don't know if that sounds cliche or not, but that's
No.
what it is, because you have to get to those ugly, dark places. Because what happens is, if you don't get to it then, when you get into your marriage, it's going to start bubbling over.
Yeah.
It's going to come out eventually.
Yep.
Right? It's just, that's just life. It's going to come out eventually. So you find yourself start snapping at your husband because you got daddy issues, or because you're mad at your mama, or whatever. So you have to get those things out. And not to say that everything's going to come out, in therapy, because life is a journey and you learn and you grow as you go. But at least you've done some foundational work to be able to talk some things out, even in your marriage. Right?
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, this is good stuff. This is good stuff. So because that's what we talk about on this channel a lot. So that's why I'm saying it's good stuff. What I'm kind of gonna go scoot back a little bit.
Yeah.
What motivated? I know that. Okay, no, not so much because you kind of spoke about motivated, but what pushed you to finally take that step to go and do the work? Because there are many people that will say, I want to do the work, or you know what, maybe they don't even realize that they're off key like that and they need to do the work, or go into therapy, or go into counseling, or coaching, whatever.
Yeah.
How did you know that you needed to go there? What was happening to you that made you say, yeah, I need to go there?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that's a great question. I had anger issues. I had some straight up anger issues. I had anger issues, and I also had some resentment that was kind of brewing, right? And I had a problem with what's the word I'm looking for? Abandonment. That's the word. Yeah. Yeah. And this is real life, right? And sometimes you don't know you have those things until somebody comes into your life and then they leave and you're like, why am I feeling the way I'm feeling? And it wasn't that I was in a relationship with men or anything that I found out I had abandonment issues. It was with I was like in a Christian sorority, and we had to do something online, and one of my sisters did something, and I can't remember exactly what happened, but I know how I felt.
Yeah.
And I was just like, why do I feel like she abandoned me? So you early 20s, you start to change, and you start to experience some things, and you realize, I got some issues. Like I got some serious issues, and I got married at 28. So I had to get some things together within myself before I knew that I wanted to take that step. Yeah.
Love that. So then, obviously, like I said, you did all the work before getting married. You focused on make sure you were getting better for yourself as well. I guess a side step to that. How did you get into how did the coach aspect come about then for you? How did Coach AP come about?
Yeah, so it initially started. I used to coach basketball, so that's how it initially started. Yeah, so I was a basketball coach, and then from there, I started my girls mentoring program, and so everything kind of, was the foundation, and kind of, built upon each thing. So I started with the girls mentoring, and then went into women and doing fitness classes, and I was like, you know what? Hey, this is a gift, so I might as well get some certifications, So I did my personal training certification, wellness coaching certification, holistic life coaching certification. And I also, of course, have, education certifications as well. And now I'm doing my doctorate. So I'm excited. Yeah.
Love that. So why did you go down the wealth? I mean, the health aspect. Why?
Wealth, yes. Come on, well,
those prophecies right there. Prophetic words. He said wealth.
yes,
But yeah, no, I mean, what made you go down the health aspect?
yeah,
Why that aspect of coaching? Because obviously, like I said, you said you were doing basketball coaching, but
yeah.
why down that aspect? What was kind of drawing you to that particular environment?
Yeah. Well, honestly, because my biological mother had so many issues. So when she passed from a brain aneurysm, but she also had cirrhosis of the
Sorry, yeah.
liver. So and of course we found out, about the cirrhosis later on, but we knew she was an alcoholic, so that wasn't far-fetched for her to have cirrhosis.
Okay.
But then I also had some cousins and some family members that just battled with cancer and just some other ailments, diabetes and things like that. And with me also um, being overweight when I was, in middle school, I knew that I wanted to just help women from that angle, So and honestly, I was able to do education as well. So I was able to kind of have a conglomerate of education and health. And that's why.
Did you go to university to study that, or was that just is it university? You guys call it college, I think.
Yep.
University here. So
No,
I'll be forgetting.
no, I did. I did university. Yes. For both undergrad and grad, and then education certifications was also university, and then everything else
Oh.
certifications with kind of some online programming and things like that. So a lot of it was in building, and then some of it was online as well.
Okay, yeah, because you just I'm hearing the education, I can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can
Thank you.
tell. Yeah, no, it's good. It's good to hear. Okay, so I mean, for yourself, then, you're doing the coaching, health and wealth, we'll call it.
Yes, helping well.
Health and wealth, going down that lane as well. And then, okay, so you've now obviously, like I said, you were doing the work, etc., before you met your husband.
Yeah.
What was dating life for you then as well? Like, because obviously, like I said, you were doing the work. Were you dating at the same time when you were doing the work before this, or what? Tell us a little bit about that journey then, in terms
Yeah,
of
I
dating.
wasn't. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I was not dating. I was very focused on school. So after I finished my undergrad, I went right into my grad degree, like right into it. I graduated in May. I started grad degree in August. So there was no break, and I was very focused. And so I wasn't dating. But I knew that I still needed to do work for myself. So when I initially did the work, it was for me, right? I know eventually I wanted to get married, of course, but when I started doing the work, it was for me. And that's the thing I want people to understand. Don't do it for anybody else. Like, do it for yourself, right? Because don't change for anybody. Or let me say this: nobody can change you. You have to change yourself. Like, it's you versus you. It's not you versus somebody else. So do the work for yourself, and other things will manifest from that. So, and that's literally what happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So for you then, okay, before your husband, did you date? Were you able to date? Or was your husband like your first late husband? Was he like your first person that you dated?
I had a college sweetheart. I did. I
Okay.
had a college sweetheart, and we were together for almost 3 years.
Oh,
It's in my mind, that was my boo. We was gonna get married. You know what I'm saying?
the bees I did.
It'd be like that. He was my first everything. And like I said, I was an introvert, so I was like tunnel vision, and my mama didn't do that. Like, you go to school, you handle your business, right? And so got to college and met a great guy, and we were together for almost 3 years, and it just life happens. He was a senior, he was graduating, so he graduated, and we just kind of lost contact. And so after that, I just really again focused on me again, and I became really set in my ways as it related to my spirituality. So I was very much focused on my God. So I wasn't doing nothing. I was celibate. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was me and God. Me, God, in my books. And to be honest, men ain't trying to hear all that. Like, they not really trying to hear that you not,
trying to give up,
giving up the goods. So they were probably like, let's just leave AP alone. Let her focus on what she has going on.
Focus on her Jesus.
Yeah, on her Jesus. And but yeah, to me, honestly, it wasn't even like it wasn't a big deal, to be honest. So, and then I met my late husband. So Yeah.
I mean, if you feel comfortable enough sharing,
Mhm.
I mean, I would love to know. I mean, how did you meet your late husband? You know, what attracted you to him in the first place? Like, I would love to know a bit more about that.
Yeah, he was just a great guy. Like overall, he was
Mm.
an amazing guy. We met at church. He was actually my elder at church, and I wasn't attracted to him at all. We used to have this running joke how I like tall, dark, and handsome, and he was short, light, and height, And
All
so
right.
he used to say like, "Well, babe, I brought my A game," So,
Hmm.
but I was really attracted to his person, like his personality, above everything else. He was a leader. He was a community advocate. He had mentoring programs. He was very much so. Dedicated, right? And I love that about him.
Mm.
Um, and so that's honestly what it was. And then we were kickboxing coaches at the same time. That's the other thing.
Oh,
Kickbox, yeah.
you don't do some Cobra Kai thing out here, yeah?
Listen, shin pads, everything, mitts. Yeah. So we were kickboxing coaches, and
So you kickbox? Is that what you're trying to say? You actually kickbox
oh
as
no,
well?
I used to kickbox. Yeah, like not in the ring. No, not in
I
the ring.
mean, no wrong with that. I'm just saying. I mean, we just
Hey,
want to know. You said you got hands. I thought you used to fight a lot. We got hands. So
I
you know what I mean.
don't know, stop.
Uh,
But no, not in the cage, but in the ring. So,
okay.
shin pads, headgear, like all of that. Won a few. My last fight I lost, and
Mhm.
I ain't like that feeling. So I was like, I'm done. I'm good. I'm good. I'm choosing.
I don't need this in my life.
Right. So, but yeah. So it was just, he was just the overall package. He was an amazing, amazing guy. So great father at the
Mm,
time. He had, he was previously married.
mhm.
And so, yeah.
Wow, love that, love that. Oh, I love that. I think I want to ask this question.
Mhm.
What about him made you feel safe?
Yeah, that's a great question. I trusted his person.
Mm,
You talk to some people and sometimes you be giving them the side eye like,
yeah.
I mean, I hear what you're saying, but in my spirit, man, it's just not connecting. Like in
Mm,
my gut, you know. But with him, it was different. Like I just trusted what he said, and his life was proof positive of that. So it wasn't like he was just giving lip service, but he
yeah.
showed it with his life. And for
Mm,
me, that's a big deal because like your actions have to line up with your words, and he did that. You know,
mm.
yeah. So just an
I love that.
amazing guy. Yeah.
I love that, man. I love that. No, it's good to hear that. I know unfortunately he passed away, but it's good to when you talk about him, you smile. So that's why
Yeah, his
it's
legacy continues. That's the thing. His
mm,
legacy continues, and so that I look at it from that perspective. Like I don't when I now when I talk about him, I'm not sad. Of
yeah,
course, before in the beginning, I couldn't even talk about him, forget about it. But now it's like with grief, you move forward with it. You don't just move on from it. Like you don't just leave it in the backdrop and then you just move
mm,
on, but you move forward. And as I'm moving forward, I'm able to live again, love again, thrive again, be happy again, And I want people to understand there's a difference between grief and despair, right? When you're in
okay,
despair, that's depression and you're
mm,
stuck in that place of despair. But when you're grieving, you can grieve in a healthy way. You know
okay,
what I'm saying?
yeah,
So that's where I am. I'm moving forward with life because I know he would want me to be happy. You know, so
mm,
that's why I went on the show. A part of the reason why with him and also my father. And
mm,
if you want to dive into that a little bit more.
I've taken a mental note on that one. Okay. Um. So I mean, when you say you're in the healthy space, just for anybody else who's kind of maybe listening and might be able to identify what you're talking about here, um, how did you then get from the despair part then maybe to the health, healthily being able to grieve more healthily? How did
Yeah.
you transition if you even went through that? I don't know if you went
Yeah.
through the despair
Oh, I
part, but
did. Oh, yeah. Oh,
okay.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. With being a young widow, having kids, my kids were 5 and 4 when my late husband passed away, when their father passed away. So that was difficult in and of
Mm,
itself. And then you have to realize 2 years prior to that, I lost my brother. 10 months after my late husband passed, I lost my mom, who my aunt, the one that raised me. So it was a very challenging season, right? Of just grief and loss, and still trying to navigate, still trying to, you know, be healthy and happy on the outside, to the outside world. But on the inside, I'm suffering and in a dark place. And so I remember one of my sister-in-law, actually. So this is my late brother's wife. And she unfortunately also lost her first husband. And she said to me, you know, it's okay to be angry with God. She said that to me.
Ask about this.
And when she said it to me, I was like, no, I can't be angry with God. You know, God knows best. I can't be angry, you know. So I'm all surface with it, right? I'm on this whole surface. God knows, you know. And though He does know best, absolutely, we understand that. But it wasn't until one day I literally, and I'm being completely transparent here, Coach, I literally laid on my floor and like bawled my eyes out, and I screamed up, and I was like, God, I'm angry. Like I had to let it out, and I felt such a relief after that. And it was almost like God was like clapping, like, yes,
finally, some truth up in here. Trust me.
You know, but what I said in that moment was, God, I'm angry, but I still trust you. That takes a lot to say that, right?
Yeah.
Because that in that moment, that's when you in your ugly, deep, dark place. You know what I'm saying? And when you can say you still trust God, even in that moment, that's when you know that you really trust God, you know? And so to your point, just to answer your question, that's what had to happen for me. I had to be honest and authentically honest with myself, with how I was really feeling. And I think sometimes, and if I can just touch on this real quick, because I feel like to touch on it real quick, I think sometimes, especially as Christians, we are so much in this box of we can't do this, or we can't feel this way. You know what? God gave us the emotions for a reason, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't release it, you're going to implode within yourself, and hence you're going to be stuck in that space of despair. So I knew for me, I had to get out of it. Like my kids, I have kids, you know what I'm saying? Like I couldn't stay stuck, right? Like I had to get up every day. Did I feel like it? No, being honest. But I had to get up every day, make sure my kids were washed, you know, clothed, fed, dishes, you know, sometimes they got washed, sometimes they didn't for the dishes. But my kids, they were my priority, right? So in order for me to get from that place of despair, I had to just be completely honest with myself.
I'd love to touch on that a bit more, actually. As you know, I'm also a Christian,
born
again too. So
you got me started.
let's go there. Let's talk about. I've never lost anyone that close to me, so I can't identify in that aspect. But in terms of when you're talking about the feelings, the emotions, and just that aspect when dealing with God, you know, because even myself, just going through certain experiences in life as a born again believer, there are moments where you're looking at God and you're like, are you all right? Because
you be waving the flag.
like why did I sign up to come and join for this? Like I if I wanted to suffer, I could have stayed there.
Right.
But I've come here and I feel like I'm suffering more.
Bible pages.
You know what I mean?
The Bible.
But you said, what you said to me, you know what I mean? So I want to get a bit more of your perspective on that as well, because I think that will help people as well. You know, that there's real moments in those things. I can't imagine. And I see your life now as a real Job story, that in the modern aspect of going through so much loss that moment, how do I not say, do you know what?
Forget it.
Bun you. Bun this thing. I'm out. I'm done.
Right.
Yeah. I'm out. Yeah. Bye. You know? Yeah. How did you get to that point?
You know, what's funny? I was at a fitness class this morning, and I was telling one of my fitness colleagues, I said for like 2 hours, I was like, I ain't praying, like I ain't doing nothing. I ain't doing nothing. And I call myself rebelling. Now, I'm not, I don't, and no disrespect for people that, you know, do clubs and all that stuff or drink.
Yeah,
that's your business, you know.
But for you,
me, that's just, I just don't, right? So I just never have. I tried drinking one time, and it went straight to my head and my liver and almost passed out. But anyway, because I had, it's not my thing.
Girl, you more than lightweight, girl. You must flew to the moon.
Yeah, I promise I can't. And so, and honestly, it probably also stems because my, with biological mother being an alcoholic, a part of that is probably there too, and I have control issues. So when I'm not in control, I'm just being honest. I don't feel like I can control myself. So anyway, I think that for me, like I said, just being authentically honest with myself and just not sugarcoating stuff. And I tell people I can be a little honest to a fault sometimes. But like I said, it was like 2 hours. I was like, I'm done. Lord, I ain't praying. I ain't doing nothing. And I was like, what I'm going to do? I was like, what I'm going to do though? Like rebel and do what? Because I'm going to be mad at myself. If I go out here in these streets and have sex, I'll be mad at myself because that's not my thing.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep myself, right? So that's going to make me upset. And I'm going to feel like, why the HE doubles did you do that? You know what I'm saying? That's not your person. So yeah, drink, can't do that. I'm going to pass out, so not a smoker,
No room to turn.
I know. I was like, what am I? Right. So I just, it's holistic for me. I'm like, I'm just going to go to the spa and turn off my phone and just don't answer nobody. Like,
That was your form of rebellion. I hear you.
That was my rebellion. I think, and to thine own self be true. Like you have to do what works for you. Right. And you have to just be true to yourself and true with how you're feeling, yeah. And nobody can tell you what your truth is.
That's the point.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Yeah. And I love that aspect as well, because obviously we're talking about Christ, talking about Holy Spirit as well, because I think those conversations are freeing, man. Like I said, I've never been necessarily what you've been through, but I think like in terms of maybe the closest I've ever felt like that, where it's a breakup in a sense. But I remember going through a situation, and I think it was probably the first time that I figured that like God is actually a counselor, like not just, it was the first time God had become physically tangible, if I want to call it that, right? Where I'm talking and I'm hearing, but it's like I can't explain it. I'm having a real conversation. Like how I'm talking to you is how I was talking to God at that time as well. And you can physically hear what God is saying back to you.
Wow.
And in those moments where you are so down or emotional and hurting and in pain, those were some of the realest conversations I had. And like you said, I had a real conversation where I was actually saying, I ain't gonna lie to you, I don't like you right now. I'm just honest, I don't like the situation. I don't like you. I don't like the fact you're asking me to be righteous in this moment, because I know I should be, but I don't want to be. I want to slap somebody. Okay. I want to break free and just, do whatever I'm doing. But in those moments when I was talking with him, I could then, like you were saying, start seeing bits of scripture, like I am a counselor, and you're like, oh, he's counseling me through those moments. And there's those real conversations with God in those key moments that make God tangible. So I was just wondering for you, like in those moments where it's almost like you want to give up because it's just too much. You've experienced too much. Like how was it like with God in those moments, like for you then in those times?
Yeah. No, it's the same, right? It's the same. It's like, it's almost like when God knows you're on the edge. It's like, look, listen, my daughter, I know you're on the edge.
Pull me off the ledge.
I'm not gonna let you roll off. You hanging on the edge.
Oh,
I'm not gonna let you. You know what I'm saying? You hanging on.
But they're like one little finger left.
But I'm not gonna let you fall.
Yeah.
And for me, it was a trust factor that I knew that I was hanging on the edge. Like I knew, I was like, Lord. And I remember saying one day, I said, God, if you don't do it, it's not gonna get done.
Trust me.
Trust you. Like that was the end of everything that I said. Like I was like, I don't like it, Lord. You made a mistake. I was saying everything I was saying, but I was like, but I trust you. Like, so at the end of everything, it was still that trust factor.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I had to trust. I'm like, you know, I can't go through all that I've gone through in my life, you know, to get to this point and then not trust you. You know what I'm saying? My late husband and I used to say when he first got sick, he said, and this resonates with me and stays with me even, you know, to this day. He said, you know, he said, babe, if you know something happens in our lives, right, and we give up on God, you know, in the hard times, like we because you're able to praise Him through the good times, you know, for the good job and the kids and the house, you know, and the promotion and all of that, you're able to praise Him, you know, through those things. But when you get to a place where the trials happen, he was like, if we give up on God in the midst of this trial, what does that say about our relationship with God? I was like, well, I'm not gonna say,
damn.
well, damn. I mean, really,
when you put it like that.
yeah, right. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't look at it from that perspective.
Yeah.
You know, because we're so used to praising Him, hallelujah, you know. But really, in the midst of the trial, can you still praise Him? You know, and so that's something that, like, in that moment, that changed the whole paradigm of how we looked at, you know, with going through his situation with him battling, you know, his cancer. So, and I keep that same thought process even now. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, it's going to get tight, it's going to get tough, but like, can you still trust Him through the trial? You know? Yeah.
I don't know if you want to answer this question, but it's coming to my mind.
Yeah.
How long was your late husband sick for?
2 years.
So 2 years.
Yeah. Actually, and this is the interesting part, Kojo. He was sick for about 8 months to a year.
Yeah.
But when he got his surgery, you know, I tell people it wasn't even like he was really sick. He was dealing with it. And this is the grace of God. If I could just say this real quick.
Yeah, please, you can.
He was dealing with it. And he had this cancer in his body for years and nobody knew because he was so healthy, right? It wasn't until he started doing chemo, that's when he got sick. He wasn't sick from the actual cancer. He got sick from the chemotherapy. Right. So that was a year. And then he got surgery. He had to get a whole, it's called a extrapleural pneumonectomy. He got his left lung removed, his heart sac, his thymus, and his, what else? It was one more thing. Heart sac, thymus, lung, and it was one more thing. I can't remember right now, but it was 4 things that he got removed. And it was basically like a 75% chance that he would make it, that he wouldn't make it through the surgery. That's how extensive the surgery was. He lived an extra year after the surgery.
Okay. God grace. Yeah.
God's grace. Absolutely. I mean, he was still running. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, he was still doing all those things. But then he ended up, it spread to his stomach. And then he got pneumonia, and then pneumonia on one lung. So that's when he kind of got sick. Yeah. Toward the latter part of everything. That was the challenging part.
Did you find it tough as well? Like, because obviously, you know, especially as Christians, you know, we know that we serve a living God. We know that God can heal. Was that tough also having that battle? Because obviously, depending on what belief system, I know within Christianity, some people believe that, you know, God has to heal everything. I'm not of that particular belief. I believe that God is someone who says the most important part is that your soul is saved.
Yeah.
But was that also a difficult journey to take in terms of, like, because you know you're gonna have the whole church saying, sis, I heard this, the Lord told me this, you know, God done prophesied this and said you're gonna be okay, and you're like, yeah, okay. Like, how was that journey like when you're hearing those things and we're praying for you and all that stuff? How was that kind of for you?
That probably, to be honest, was some of the most challenging moments, because in my heart, I'm like, okay, you know, Father, you said the prayers of the righteous avail much, right? By your stripes we are healed. So, you know, we're fasting, we're praying, you know, we're doing everything that we're supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
And then when they still pass away, you know, what do you do? Real talk, like, what do you do with that? Like, you be like, Lord, but you know, I did everything that I thought I was supposed to do, right? And so I had to learn even through that God is still God, and you still trust Him through it. And as cliche as that sounds, that's just real.
Yeah.
You know, He's still God, and you still trust Him through it. because his plans are his plans. If we,
Mm.
it's like either you believe him all the way or you don't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was challenging. It was definitely challenging in those moments. Again, because you want to believe
Yeah.
that he's going to be healed. I mean, I remember being at the hospital when I had his clothes and I had, and our wedding rings. And I went back home. I had one of my good friends take me back home. And I said, girl, I'm going back home to get my husband's clothes because he coming out of this hospital, you know what I mean? Like my faith was like high,
Yeah.
and he passed 2 days later, and so it's a situation where you still just have to trust God even through those moments, so yeah.
Man, this is such tough things because I think my former pastor,
Mm-hmm.
was obviously I've moved from that area now, but his wife passed, like,
Mm.
and it was just so sudden, just
Yeah.
one day, just boom, and she was in hospital for like a day or something,
Mm-hmm.
something normal. It wasn't even anything crazy,
Wow.
and then,
Mm.
and especially as Christians, it makes you do ask that question, like, God, I thought you're the God of healing.
Right.
People fast, people pray,
Mm-hmm.
and everything like that, and then you almost have to come to this conclusion, because obviously it's not that God hasn't done what God needs to do,
Right.
or God can't heal or anything like that, or not that you sinned or anything like that. It's nothing to do with that. It's just the fact that God's will is that first and foremost,
Yeah.
is my child safe, because the
Yeah.
body is going to wither away,
Right.
but and we're going to have a new body. We're going to be glorified,
Mm-hmm.
and that's such a it's an alien thought, because oftentimes we're taught that
Mm-hmm.
God can heal, God's going to, and He can.
Right.
So we're just taught sometimes that we focus on that
Mm-hmm.
rather. We focus on that. We're not often told, okay, so what's God's will? Is God
Right.
going to say yes to this, or is going to say no to this?
Exactly.
He's going to say, we don't get that, and then something like this happens, and then we get. It almost teaches us that in that moment. It's almost
Absolutely.
painful to learn that through that
Mm-hmm.
basis. You know what I mean?
Yep. Not my will, but the Lord's will be done.
Mm.
Yeah. And that's hard to say. That's hard to
Yeah,
say because it's hard to say when his will doesn't line up with what you think should happen.
baby.
Listen. And that's what happened in this particular situation. Yeah, that happened. Now with my mom, she was sick. So, she had the cancer for before my late husband found out he had cancer. So we were expecting her to go, and she was older. It was just a different situation.
Yeah.
But with my late husband, he was young, vegetarian, track runner, so it was a little different, with that situation. So
Interesting. So then, obviously,
let me put on some lip gloss, Coach. Hold on.
oh, do your thing. I'm a encapsulate my question in a statement, in a long statement. So you're
Okay.
good.
I'm listening. I'm listening.
No, yeah, I know you listen. You're good. You're good. So obviously, then you've gone through that experience where you've lost your husband,
Mhm.
and then you go. Then obviously a few years have passed on, and then Ready to Love seems to present itself
Yeah.
to you.
Mhm.
And I think you kind of said on the show, were you dating a little bit? Had you started opening yourself up to dating at that point?
I did. I tried online dating.
How was that like?
Complete debacle.
Mm.
Complete debacle.
Why was it a debacle for you?
Well, again, because I was not I'm celibate. Let me just put it out.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
real. That's real.
Until I'm with my husband. Now that doesn't mean marriage. That just means
Yeah.
until I believe that the person that I'm with is my
Mm.
husband. Okay. And with online dating, you're dating. So you figuring me out, I'm figuring you out. But the first conversation for me should not be led with sex. Like it throws me off a little bit. Now
Yeah.
I'm not saying we can't talk about it. We're adults. We can talk about it. That's cool. But that shouldn't be the first conversation. Okay. So I got a lot of that. And not that I was presenting that. It was just, people that was just
coming up with,
yeah. So once they realized that, oh damn, AP that's not a conversation I can really have with her right now on this first, conversation, then folk go ghost. So I got a lot of that, you know what I'm saying? I got ghosted several times. But I just believe that my chapter 2 is, I feel like I'll know my person. I do. Yeah.
Ready to Love came. Did you apply or did they recruit you? Ready to Love.
I applied.
Okay, so you're one of the genuine ones. Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh no, I don't mean like that. I mean
No,
like in the sense. Sorry, my bad. I didn't
I
realize I
don't
came
know
out.
nobody's life. I just
Yeah,
stick
sorry.
in my lane. That's all I
I'm sorry.
got going on over here. My own lane.
My bad. God, sorry the shade. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so you applied for Ready to Love.
I did. Yeah.
Okay. What
Mm-hmm.
was your kind of reasoning then to applying to be on the show?
Coach, I was ready. I was ready. You know,
Mm,
it had been 5 years at that point, right? I tried the
mm,
online dating thing, and I figured this seems like a controlled environment. You know, reading the description, I'm like, okay, this seems like something I can do. You know,
respect.
you go on dates, and you feel like it's like minded people, and so I was ready. I was
Mm.
ready. hmm Now let me say this too.
Yeah, go for it.
My dad actually passed a month before the show started, right?
Oh, sorry.
And I'm sharing this. Thank you. I'm sharing this because some people were like, AP, she's still grieving her husband.
I
And
mean, we did think that. We did think that. Yeah.
I ain't gonna say who said. No, I ain't pointing no fingers.
I mean, okay.
But she needs to heal and deal, or deal and heal, and I get that. But what people don't realize, it wasn't my husband I was grieving; it was my father. So if
Oh,
anybody kind of picked up something from me, it was more so my dad. I was a daddy girl. So now some people may say, "Well, AP, why did you go on the show if you know that you grieving your daddy?" Okay, because I am a daddy's girl. When my dad was on his transitional bed, I said, "Hey, Dad, look, and at this point, let me be clear, he could barely speak. He was transitioning, and so I said, Dad, I'm going to be on TV, and I promise you, I can't make this up. He mustered up the strength to tell me. He said, "Good, you've always been a star, right?" That was the first thing. And I was like, no, Dad. I said, no, Dad. It's a dating show. Like, I want him to know dating show. It's not like, I'm glamour TV. Like, I ain't just like Halle Berry, like it's a glamour. It's not a glamour show, Daddy. It's a dating show. And again, he could barely speak, but he said to me, and I never forget this. He says to me, "You deserve love too. Make it." And that stuck with me.
Yeah.
That stuck with me. And those were the last words he said to me. I'm not gonna cry.
That's okay if you do.
But those were the last words that he said to me. And he passed literally 2 days, like 2 or 3 days after that. And so for me not to go was almost kind of like, to me, it was not honoring my father, because he told my daddy said that
You're a star.
I deserve love too. Okay. So, and I was ready for love. You know what I'm saying? I was ready to love. And I showed up. You know what I'm saying? And that's my biggest thing. Like, I'm always going to show up. Good, bad, ugly, or indifferent. I'm gonna show up. Now I had on some flats. I had on some flats my first date with Brother Clifton, but I showed up. I was there. Okay. I got a lot of little comments about them flats I had on.
Oh, they roasted you on the show. I didn't understand it personally, but
they roasted me. But now this is the funny part. I had heels in my car, right? But because I was walking down the hill, and I had 2-inch heels in my car. Now you can't get me out of heels. I'm in heels. Look, these calf muscles gonna be showing in these heels.
Amen. Come on now, baby.
But because I'm walking down a hill and it's a vegan restaurant, and the restaurant was changed. It was initially a different spot. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna have my little dress on, the dim, and the lights. Because I looked up the restaurant. Okay, so I was like, I'm gonna have this little dress, my little. And then they like, hey, AP, we going to a restaurant outside. I was like, ooh, okay. I already had on my dress. I was halfway, to the venue. Had to go to the other venue, right? And I said, well, I got these flats on. I'm walking down this hill. Let me just wear these flats. So that's what happened. Now, in hindsight, I probably would have just let my baby toe be scrunched up a little bit, in the heels, walking down the hill. In hindsight, because all the comments I got about them flats, I said, "Oh Lord!"
Oh, they really got you in this flats thing, man.
No more flats, and I wear size 11 anyway. So it's challenging out here for the big, for the Bigfoot girls. I'm trying to tell you, but I found some skills.
Don't worry, man. We got you, man, sis. We got you. We got you. You was good. It is good. It's good. Don't worry. I mean, okay. So, like, obviously,
Yeah.
I appreciate you sharing that as well about your father as well passing because we didn't know that. So,
Mhm.
it definitely helps to kind of give us a bit more rounded perspective as well.
Yeah.
You obviously, when you did meet Clifton,
Mhm.
was that the first time you met the cast? That was like Clifton's date. Was that the first person you
First
met, or?
date, first date, first blind
Okay.
date. I knew nothing. It's like
Mm,
show up and this is what it is. You show up and you meet your blind date. So I had no
mm.
idea. I was like, real novice when it came to that.
What was your like first impressions then? You meet Clifton, first impressions. What's your thoughts? What's
Well,
going
Clifton
through your mind?
is very tall and very handsome, and so that was my first impression. I said, well, he's very handsome. He's tall, he's built, from his stature. I like that look.
Yeah.
But yeah,
You looking
I
for that
know that he
Samson look?
harped on me about the brother comment,
Mm.
but he does he favored my brother. So
No, AP. I mean, you was. You know what? I could forgive the flats, but I couldn't forgive the
I
brother
know, I
comment.
know,
I said,
I know.
AP, what's going on, baby?
Yeah, you know what? It was well, but again, what people don't know is that's the brother that passed away. Well,
Okay.
I didn't know that I was going to. These are real moments and real reactions, y'all, that's
Respect it.
happening, during these dates. So I had no idea that I was going to respond,
In
be
that
on a
way.
date with somebody that looked like my brother, and I was going to be like, "Oh my God, you remind me of my brother." I didn't know that was going to happen, but that was a real
Respect it.
reaction. So, but yeah, but also, and brother, I call him Brother Clifton. That's kind of like our little inside joke. But you see him enjoy and that chemistry that they have, it's amazing, and I love it. So chemistry is chemistry, and when you have chemistry in a connection, with someone. So
Mm.
yeah.
Was the brother comment anything to do with self-sabotaging or you trying to get out of the situation, realizing that you weren't really feeling him the way you thought you were? Like, was an aspect of saying that in that regard as well?
I don't necessarily say self-sabotage. I will say it was a real moment and a real reaction for me. I had never seen anybody that looked so close to my
Your
brother.
brother.
So honestly, it was like in that moment, what I said was how I really felt.
Mm.
But was there a connection? No.
Okay.
And both he and I knew that. But nonetheless, it was a great date and the food was amazing. So
Mm.
yeah. But
Brother Clifton was suffering with the
Brother
food, but I
Clifton,
see
yeah.
he was trying with the food. I see he tried with
He
the
did
food.
good. He did good. I
He
was
did all right.
proud of him.
He was all right.
Yeah.
Okay, and when's the first time you actually met the whole entire cast? I know we got to see you guys at the
Oh
bowling alley
wow.
and stuff, but when's the first time you met the cast?
Oh man. So the first time I actually met everybody was at the beach party.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah, because everybody was there at the beach party. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Other than that, it
What?
was like small dates that everybody kind of went on, and we were kind of in those I don't want to say segregated, but in
Yeah.
those smaller dates. But everybody was at the beach house, so I was able to meet everybody there.
Okay.
The night,
Describe your. Yeah.
the
What was it
night
like?
I got, the night I got voted off. That night.
Before we get there, okay, your first introduction to the cast. Then I guess you said at the beach place, the
Yeah.
beach party. Describe a little bit your that entrance. How was that like meeting the cast at the time? And did you have any conversations that were interesting? Did anyone tickle your fancy? Anyone caught your eye? Like describe that day for us in a little bit.
Yeah. So first of all, when we first got there, all of the ladies were together. And so,
Okay.
as women, we're complimenting each other, like, girl, go ahead, legs. Okay, we'll see you, honey. We're, how ladies do, right? So
Aye.
we're complimenting everybody. And so then we have to wait and then we walk in. And so the men are already there. And so there were, I want to say one person in particular that I had not met at
Okay.
that point, and that was Eric. So
Okay.
Eric
Yeah.
did not get a chance to meet. And so when we walked in, when I saw him, we hugged and, we were cordial and we were just like, oh, we didn't get a chance to meet each other, so it was a cool moment. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
But everybody else I had met on other dates.
Okay.
hmm
Oh, wait, on other dates, as in your own dates that you have
Yeah.
gone
hmm
with. Oh, so who did you go on the little dates with then? Who did you go dating with?
Yeah. So I had, of course, Clifton was my first date. And then that night, there was Paul, Demetrius, and Vern.
Oh, okay.
The bowling alley.
Yes, I
Yeah,
remember now. I
yeah.
remember. I
And
remember.
then we had another date with Wiley, Tori, Demetrius.
On
That
the
was
bus.
on the bus.
Yes.
And then Donovan and I see Donovan, Paul, um, Precious, and Ace all went on a date. We did a which this is one of my favorite dates, by the way. We did a aerial yoga date, and
Okay.
that one wasn't shown though, but that was one of our dates as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Obviously when you met the guys at the bowling alley as well, I don't know if you noticed it, we as an audience did, but Laverne, first and foremost, was introducing all the guys as nothing one, nothing two, nothing three. I want to know your initial response. What was your initial, what do you think, what was your initially running through your head when you heard that?
Dun, 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 dun. In that moment, I figured they had some camaraderie.
Okay.
And they all felt comfortable with each other.
Mm.
So that was my initial thought. I said, oh, they're kind of, because remember, I'm coming in late. So I don't know who has, whose bond is tighter. I have no idea at this point. But I just figured that they had some camaraderie with each other. So I'm just kind of walking into that. And they laughed. So I laughed. And we just kind of went from there. Yeah. Yeah. But I didn't think of it in any from a negative approach at all. Personally, I didn't think of it from that from a negative standpoint at all.
Fair enough. Okay, that makes sense. And I mean, how for you then? How did the bowling alley date go for you? Like, what did you learn? What did you pick up? Let us know your thoughts on that.
I actually enjoyed that date, to be honest. I got a chance to really speak with Laverne, Demetrius, and Paul, and of course, Joy was there. And I enjoyed that date, to be honest with you. Some aspects were not shown. It was more so just Joy and Laverne. That it was shown from that perspective, and so the conversations that I had were not shown, which is fine. But I enjoyed that date. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely hearing you now. And at that point, was anybody like you like? Maybe something could happen here. Maybe something could go.
Yeah, a little interest. Yeah, so there was some interest with Laverne at that point, and also Demetrius as well. And Paul was on my radar as well. I appreciated how they presented themselves. Of course, it's a bowling alley, so everybody's kind of chill and laxed. But I did appreciate how they welcomed me with being new at that point, and it didn't feel awkward at all. But yeah.
You actually went on a date with Demetrius, and I think that was one of the dates that we picked up on. Was like, oh, baby, what's going on here?
Yeah.
What was it like for you? And what was from your perspective the date with Demetrius? How did that go?
See, this is the thing, Kojo, and as you know, with editing, everybody has a narrative, right? And so my narrative was I was the widow that did the work. So every conversation seemingly kind of pitched me with saying the same thing. I'm a widow, but I've done the work. I'm ready to love. Like I was just like, okay, girl. Like every date is seemingly you're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Now, as you can tell, I'm a talker, so that definitely wasn't just me saying that. But again, there's a narrative, and I understand that, and I respect the production and all of that. The date with Demetrius, I thought was very, I thought it was an intentional date, right? Because at that point, I wanted to get to know a little bit more about him. But they didn't really show. They didn't show us talking about some of the things that we talked about. We went in depth with conversation. So it was a very intentional date. But of course, there were aspects that were not shown. And again, that's okay. But I think for me, leaving that date, I felt it could go either way, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
You mentioned in the date as well. I think you mentioned about the Superman analogy.
I knew that was going to come back up. Yeah. Yes.
We got to know.
We got to know. What you talking about, AP?
We got to know. Like.
So that particular analogy, what I was saying was like, I want, my man or, whomever I'm with, like be Superman, and I'll support, him with that and in that, right? I got you. It's ride or die for me. I'm with you all the way, you know? But I'm not the Lois Lane type, meaning the damsel in distress. That's all that I meant. Not that there's anything wrong with Lois Lane. Lois Lane's amazing. She's very smart, intelligent. She does her thing. She supports Superman all the way, you know? But from that perspective, in that moment, I was saying like she's always in trouble, like she's always falling off the cliff or something, and Superman has to always save her. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I was talking about in that particular moment concerning that. What they didn't show was me saying I'm more of like the Superwoman or Wonder Woman type of woman. Like I want to build with my man. We build together. You know what I mean? I don't want to feel like you have to necessarily save me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, let me say this. I understand when to fall back and let a man be a man. Like I get it. You know, I was married for almost 10 years. I understand what that means. I don't cringe at the word submission, you know, like it's not that at all. But you have to understand for 5 years, it's just been solo mom. So my cape is pretty much always on, you know, but when I do meet that person that I feel like, phew, finally, thank you, Lord, I can take the cape off and you could just be Superman and I'm just going to support you with that, then I will gladly accept that. But right now it's the cape, you know, and personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with that in this season, right? I believe that there's a season for everything. And when the season is right for me to take the cape off, I will gladly take it off, you know? So, yeah.
Well, I mean, I understand that, and that makes sense. I think we I know I interpreted the Lois Lane thing as almost like, okay, she's saying, I don't need your ways, I don't need you, you know?
No, not at all. Not at all. It was from the perspective of just the single mom, you know, and doing it and having to be strong, you know, these past 5 years. That's where that came from. Yeah. Oh, but trust, I'm ready. I'm ready to to take the cape off. Okay. It's tiresome.
Hey, it's not easy out there. I'm telling you, it's not easy. I mean, did Demetrius understand it? Did he receive it the way that it was meant to receive, or did he feel some type of way? Like, how was his reception to you in that date? Then, do you feel?
Yeah, I think seemingly he received it. You know, based on our continued conversation. You know, even after I said what I said. You know what I mean? Yeah. We were able to dialogue a little bit more and dive into it a little bit more. So from that aspect, I think he did. But you know, sometimes in confessionals, you know, you just never know.
His confessionals was different.
Woo! They hit a bit different. They hit a bit different.
When you watched it back, his confessionals, obviously, you know, it's after the fact, so it's slightly different. Watching it back, what was your kind of thoughts then to his confessionals then after, in regards to your date when he spoke about it?
Yeah. So the thing about Demetrius, he's very methodical, right, and very intentional, and he's just not going to haphazardly say anything. So I knew that he probably thought about what he was saying when he said it, and to my understanding, what he said was, you know, she's very sure of herself and she understands who she is as a woman. But I don't, and I'm paraphrasing, but I don't know how she would be from a perspective of nurturing. That's what I got from, you know, what he was saying. And I'm actually very nurturing. I'm a mom, you know what I mean? So I'm very nurturing. I do have a tough side just based on growing up and I've had to be tough, but I'm also feminine as well. So when that feminine side needs to come out, trust me, it comes out, you know. But my default, I'm not going to lie, my default is more of the tougher side. But I think the beauty of that is with understanding, right? When you understand that you do have a tough side, but that you're also feminine as well. And when whichever part needs to come out, you're able to showcase that. So, yeah.
Okay. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, well, fair enough. And obviously following that particular date, then did you feel, I mean, at that point, did you, because it's obviously they show us confessional, but I'm guessing it wasn't at that point when you said the confessional. Did you feel after that date that maybe your person just wasn't going to be here, or was it a little bit later on that you felt like your person wasn't going to be here?
I kind of knew after that, to be honest. I was trying to be hopeful because you know, at that point I hadn't really interacted with all of the gentlemen, right? And I wanted to. I wanted to show my big personality and you know, and be able to express myself and do those things. But I will say it's almost like when I bring up the widow aspect, the complete opposite of what, like, the dynamics change. You know, the dynamic of the conversation changes. And I never want people to feel sorry for me. I'm not that woman, right? I'm not that person. And I'm only sharing just because, for me, I'm just sharing freely. And sometimes I overshare. Sometimes I overshare sometimes, right? But at the same time, you want people to understand kind of where you're coming from, but I may have given too much too soon as it relates to oversharing. So it was definitely a learning process for me, you know, and I took away some nuggets, and there were some teachable moments that I'll definitely take with me as I move forward, you know, in my dating journey.
I love that. I mean, obviously at the end, not even at the end, on the bus situation, I mean, love to get some clarity on this bus situation. You know, because Demetrius was sitting at the back and we're wondering why he's so solemn. I don't know if something happened and he was like that or what, or Demetrius just being Demetrius. But you sat at the front, and then Wiley started speaking to you.
Wiley.
Wiley, and you know, you called Wiley a little student. So and people were like,
you know, in hindsight, I probably would not have said that. And he and I talked about it after the fact, and I've apologized, and we, you know, laughed about it and everything. But I didn't mean it in a negative way. I just meant he had youthful energy. And I probably could have just said that instead. But we definitely, you know, Team Wiley over here. We love Wiley. So no love lost at all.
But, no beef there. I don't think that at all. I mean, I think even just looking back, we all knew, you know, that potentially it might not be, you know, your actual ally for Wiley or anything like that. But I think, it was just that little comment. I mean, okay, so I mean, what did you? I mean, Team Wiley, I agree with you. But what made you feel like to say maybe student? Was there incompatibility? Do you feel like there was a difference for you two in terms of, you know, in terms of experience? Did you feel like there's a difference in terms of where you're coming from in terms of mindset? What was the kind of thought process behind that then?
Yeah, so let me say this, Kojo. I know that with me being 43, right?
Yeah.
But I know that my life experience is not the average 43-year-olds.
Yeah.
I know that about myself. And with my age mates, it's a little challenging for me, right? To kind of share that aspect of myself, to share that part of myself with age mates that may not have that experience. And it doesn't have to be the magnitude of what I've gone through, but just life experience from a level of maybe losing someone, right?
Yeah.
So with Wiley in particular, I just knew, I knew that he was a little young, you know, just based on age, because we shared our age, you know, our ages with each other. But also just, now let me say that he is wise beyond his years. That has nothing to do with me saying what I said. But again, it was more so just his youthful energy. That's what I meant when I said that he reminds me of my students. It wasn't to defame his character or anything like that, or, you know, lessen his ability of him being a man. It wasn't anything like that. So in hindsight, like I said, I probably should not have said him reminding me of a student. But it was just really just his youthful energy.
Did you what was the kind of conversation like between yourself? I know that obviously he's lost a parent as well, but I mean, what's kind of conversation like with you two like then? Because it seemed like, even though I know you said, forgetting the comment, that it did seem like, you know, he was having some decent conversation with you or so.
Listen, Wiley's conversation, and some of this was not shown, but and he and I talked about this after the fact. That was one of my best conversations that I had on the show, being completely honest. Like I said, Wiley is wise beyond his years. So it definitely is not an age thing. It was just, you know, youthful energy.
Okay. So
and Wiley wants more kids, and
you kind of dealing with that.
I mean, my daughter will be 10 in 2 months. So, I mean, if it happens, it happens moving forward. But I'm like, okay, Lord, this must be your golden child or something, because I'm not really, I'm just not in that headspace. But, you know, children are a gift from the Lord.
I hear that. Ain't no word like that. Real light. What for you then? I mean, so obviously, you know, in the cutscene, it did say that you wanted to speak to Demetrius. Did you actually get to speak to Demetrius on the bus then in the end, or did it never happen? A conversation?
Did we speak? I think we were just cordial with each other at that point.
Okay.
We were just cordial.
Okay. So you didn't get a chance to have that conversation because it sounded like you wanted to be able to have the conversation, but because you was on the bus and you were talking to Wiley and then Sabrina was talking to Tori, and then he was at the back of the bus doing all of this.
But you know what? We actually that's not true. We actually did speak. That's as I'm as my memory, if it serves me correctly, we did end up speaking. I asked him to switch seats with Wiley, and so he did move up, and he and I talked a little bit.
Okay, so he did get to switch in the end.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, cool. Because we just saw him in the corner, like, and we was wondering, like, brother, is man not gonna say nothing? Not gonna do nothing? Is he gonna move from position? Okay. Yeah. So during that conversation of bus, then did it spark anything for you, or was it just more of a case of that just confirmed that this ain't going nowhere?
It was more of a confirmation. Oh, yeah, it was more of a confirmation. Yeah. Listen.
Not as a bad guy or anything, but
no. All the gentlemen are amazing guys. Like, don't get me wrong. But like I said, when you have a connection with someone, and when you don't, it's okay. Chemistry is chemistry, and when it's there and when it's not, and it's okay, either way. So.
No, I get that too. Yeah. I definitely get that. Makes sense. And you said obviously you did talk to some of the lads, like for instance Paul and stuff like that. Was there anyone that caught your eye then? Was anybody? And I know if no one did, I understand. But is anybody you feel like you just connected with and it was like, oh, do you know what? Maybe I could have connected more. Was there anybody there that was?
Based on the dates, because so I didn't really even talk to anybody off camera, right? Okay. Because again, I'm coming in, I'm new. So I didn't even get a chance to really, do the whole exchange numbers thing, and talk to people out of set, right? And I could have pushed it a little bit more, but most people had their connections already, to be honest with you. So, no, no, I will say Donovan and I had a really good conversation at the Aerial Yoga Studio. That was really good. I would have liked to, talk a little bit more with him, but I got eliminated the next day. So, yeah, but that's fine. No worries. No worries at all.
Did the elimination catch you off guard, or did you feel like you knew you were kind of going?
Woo! I was a little caught off guard because I wanted to stay longer. I wanted to make a connection, right? But at the same time, I knew at that point I had not made any connections. So I figured it's not far-fetched that I'm on the chopping block right now.
I get that. Okay. And was there anything that happened on the show that we didn't get to see that you thought I probably should let them know that happened? Anything like that at all?
That's a good question. No. No. You mean as far as the dates?
Anything that happened on the show that we didn't get to see that you thought would be, maybe the audience should know?
Oh no, like I said, the yoga studio date I thought was amazing. I'm surprised they didn't show like little clippets of that, because I mean that was you guys on a string. Is that the one where the thing hangs on the sky and then? Oh man, yes, you're hanging from it. You're like doing different poses. That was bomb. I actually love that date. Yeah.
That date. I'll pass.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm gonna leave the taming of the shrew to you guys. But okay, so for you then, looking back on your experience, what would you say were the learns? What did you learn from those experiences that you had on the show? I know it wasn't very long, but what did you learn?
Yeah, I think the first thing is learning to read the room a little better.
Okay.
Learning to not overshare. I'm an Aries. I'm a talker. Even with being just with my profession and what I do as a holistic life coach, I talk, I speak, I'm an empath. I feel people. So I think moving forward, like I said, just really learning to not express so much and not give up myself so soon and so early. Because not everybody, some people are like, wait a minute, AP, hold up, you're doing too much, hold up, so just scaling back a little bit. That's what I learned for me personally.
Okay, fair enough. Scaling it back a little bit.
Yeah, a little scale back, a little scale back.
I'm with it. I'm with it. Um, and obviously after the show,
Yeah.
are you still open to dating at the moment, or are you saying I'm gonna take some time out? What's your thoughts? What are you saying?
Clears throat, drinks water.
Mm.
I am absolutely open. I'm
Okay.
open. Yeah, I'm open to dating. I'm dating actually. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I don't expect when you find a woman like you. I expect you shouldn't be on the streets long. You know what I'm saying? They
Oh
should
wow.
sweep
Hey,
you
listen,
up.
somebody gonna wife me up.
That's right. Someone gonna take you home. I hear you, baby. I hear you. Okay, no. And again, I appreciate you being so open and candid, especially about your life as well. And yeah, I mean, you talked about your book, so I don't know. Maybe it's a good time to kind of let us know, about the book and potentially if it's ready to where we can find it and kind of also support you.
Yeah. So I'm actually finishing a book that my late husband and I started. So I'm finishing that one first, and then my
Wow.
autobiography will be coming out. So yeah,
Whew.
I gotta finish. The one that he and I started first. I need to finish that one.
Fair enough. No
So
problem
that's
at
the
all.
journey of his life and his cancer story, and just really trusting God through it, and hope, and love, and how all those things play a part, even when you're going through a situation that may not be the best. So.
Well, you know what? I commend you for the journey you've taken because you wear it with a smile on your face. And I know that, sometimes there are difficult stories behind that smile, but, I appreciate your strength and your candidness as well and being straightforward. I think similar to yesterday, Tori's interview as well, straightforward answers.
Yeah.
But, and you'd be surprised, it's not always the case. So when you get someone who's straightforward and just kind of answering things, it just put things into perspective really quickly. So I really do appreciate you being so candid and truthful about your experience as well.
Thank you.
I would like to say, again, thank you again once more, and let us know where we can find you. Is it social media? We can find you? Is it on
Yeah.
YouTube? Where can we find Coach AP?
Yeah, I'm on IG and Facebook, A.P. and also same handle for Facebook and IG for both. Did we get any questions in the chat section? Like, how is this working? Are people asking questions? What we got going on?
No. I asked pretty much all the questions today, so they're good. They haven't got any crazy stuff going on there. I think you answered all the questions that were burning for our chests.
Okay.
You answered it, and you've answered it well. That's the thing. You've actually answered it, and I commend you again, because I think even when you said about is it editing, you just kind of, a lot of people try to make the excuse, but you didn't make any. You just said, listen, hey, look, and it's what it is.
Yeah.
And again, we appreciate that level of accountability. It shows that you're healed and you're working. You've done the work.
Yeah.
Again, we actually commend you,
you.
for that as well. So much appreciation. Any last thoughts? Anything on your mind that you wanted to share? Any last things?
I'm proud of myself. Okay.
Come on now.
Listen, it takes a lot. It takes a lot to put your whole life on display, right? Especially when you have, a past and things that sometimes people go through things and they're not necessarily proud of what they've gone through. For me, it's like it's the opposite. I want to showcase God through the trial. You know what I'm saying? Through the pain, through the hurt, I'm showcasing God. So for me, it's like, hey, bring these interviews. Let's go. Let's go. Sorry, I'm a sporty girl. So
it's cool. I know you like the competitive.
I used to play basketball too, Coach. You know.
What position you play?
I did. I played two. I was a two guard.
I have no clue what that means, but I'm just gonna nod my head. Yeah.
A shooting guard, Coach.
A shooting guard.
A shooting guard.
What does a shooting guard do?
We shoot.
Oh, okay. But why are you guarding if you're shooting?
No. We're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that.
I don't get that. Why would you guard if you're shooting?
Pointers, perimeter shooting. No.
Huh?
Not ringing a bell. Basketball.
I know that there's parameters or something like that, or 3-point shoots. I get that part.
Okay.
Why
Oh,
they
it's
call it?
okay.
I don't get why they call it point guard. No, 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 no. Come back, game coach. Come here, coach. Come here, coach. Why do they call it point guard? I don't get it.
So the point guard is the person that dribbles the ball, right?
Oh,
That's the
okay.
person that passes to everybody, tries to, make sure they
Okay.
get, no, not regular, no.
Point. So that's the
Point guard.
PG.
Point
Okay.
guard
And
is
then
the
is there a shot guard as well?
shooting guard. Yes, that's the 2
Shooting
and the
guard.
3. Yeah.
The 2 and the 3. So
Yeah.
that person's more responsible for 2s and 3s.
No. So so let's say 5 people on the team.
Yeah.
Right? So you got the shooting guard,
Yeah.
number 1, the shooting guard. Okay, the 2, the 3. So 1, 2, 3. The 4, the 5, which is your either your center or your forward.
Forward. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So your 3 and your 4 can also be a forward as well. But I was
Okay.
a 2. I was a shooting guard. I was in the corner, straining the 3.
Okay, he's draining. Okay, he was draining. Okay, I know that term, draining. Okay, I know that one.
Yes.
Okay, so okay, you had a little curry in you.
Yeah, I got a little game up. Yeah, I got a little game. I still play actually.
You still play?
I do.
You been putting the moves on those guys and showing them what it is.
I do a little science.
You know our egos can't take a loss like that, AP.
No, I love shooting. Like it's a form of one exercise, but it's also an outlet for me. So yeah, but I love it. I don't even know how we got on basketball. How did we get on this?
I don't know, but
I was proud of myself. No, I was proud of myself. Let me focus, Kojo, because you're gonna have me talk about everything else I do on the side as it relates to fitness. But no, I was proud of myself for going on the show.
Yeah.
For really just owning every aspect of showing up. And I would do it again. Be honest.
Yeah. You do it again?
I would.
Baby, your man was not there, baby. You was too rich and too deep.
Wait a minute. I'm saying maybe another type of show.
Oh, okay. So my bad. Like what? Like the challenge? I think you'd be good at the challenge. You ever seen a challenge? Yeah, I think you'd be good at a challenge. You like a competition, so I think that'd be good for you.
I'm very competitive. I am. Yeah.
I think you need something like that. I think you'd be good on a challenge. I think you'd be good on they call it's a celebrity get me out of here, but I think you would be good on something like that as well.
Okay.
I think you like those kind of things that are daring.
Yeah, I do. I would. Yeah. I mean, but I might be wiped up. So I mean, whatever, if somebody got to get me into, another show before I might get wiped up. I don't know. I'm just saying, speaking into existence.
Come on now. Let them know.
But yeah, so I have my books going on. I'm writing these books, working with clients as well. Also with my nonprofit. And listen, I do speaking engagements. So if anybody wants me to speak for something, let me know. I do poetry, spoken word, So yeah.
Oh, the coaching aspect though. I mean, is that open as well? Or do you have a set amount of clients that you work with?
It's open. It's open at this point. Yeah. I just love working with women in general. So even if it's not necessarily to give them, a whole life plan, we can just talk,
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need somebody to talk some things out with. Yeah,
that's very true. So ladies, if you're hearing that, listen, AP, coach,
you.
You know what I'm saying? ain't 3 though, but okay, in this life. But no, that's good as well, because as we know, I think we all need to support each other in different ways. So that's another way to support the women as well. So I'm always appreciative of women doing great jobs to help other women as well. Especially because my gender is kind of mad. So okay. Well, AP, listen, it's been amazing. It's been great.
We've been on here for a minute. It's been almost an hour.
It could have been 3, but I didn't want to do that to you. Do you know what I'm saying?
I appreciate it. I get to my babies.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to do that to you. So I appreciate you so much. Thank you again once more for coming on here and sharing your heart and sharing your truth. And we look forward to the book.
Thank you.
Because you've been through a lot and we need to be able to soak in the story in its depth.
Yes. So, thank you so much for having me.
No worries.
Y'all look out for my fitness classes too, because I do online fitness classes. So if y'all want to
what don't you do?
Well,
you tell me that you got cooking classes too, that you got that too. I can you look like you can cook a store. I ain't gonna lie to you,
It's some things in the works. So
okay. You look like you can do some chef up stuff in the kitchen. It looks like you
some vegan stuff. Yeah.
I mean, it's a shame it's vegan because I ain't about that life.
But look, you can always substitute your meat in there if you need to.
We gonna need to, because that plant stuff. What is this? I don't get this whole plant stuff where everything gets replaced. Like you have, it's a burger, but it's not meat. It's a plant. It's like it's chicken, but it's chicken plant. I'm like, what's going on? Like you can't have
Yeah, I
chicken plant.
promise you,
It's chicken or it's
you
not
wouldn't even
chicken.
taste the difference. I promise.
Huh?
You wouldn't even taste the difference.
They always say that, but I can taste the
But you're like,
flesh.
I need my grease.
I need my flesh. I need to
Flesh.
I need to taste the flesh that I'm tasting. Okay. So the vegan stuff, but that's fair enough. That's fair enough, you know.
Yeah.
But again, thank you so much. Audience, listen, it's been amazing. It's been great. Thank you guys
so
for being
much,
respectful in the
guys.
chat, man. It's been amazing. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Laverne is on here as well. So yeah, we will talk to him. And then we have Eric on Friday. So busy week, guys, for you, and interviews after interviews. Okay. All right. Listen, don't do anything I wouldn't do out there, baby. There's not much I wouldn't do. So be careful on them streets, people. Okay.